one of the things I'm most interested in would have to be basically the intermingling of philosophy, religion, and human culture in regards to not just science, but just in and of themselves. So I was immediately attracted to the Bock Saga. The first time I heard about it was actually on my original account way back in 2007. I remember I was a freshman in college and I was, had time to kill because I had already gotten everything done I had to get done. And stumbled upon some of the videos dealing with the Bock Saga. I can't remember even what I was looking up at the time. But the Bock Saga is basically, you can look at it one of two ways. I guess there's some confusion in my mind as to which one is more relevant. Archaeology / human culture or linguistic tradition, which ties into human culture and anthropology anyway. But the Bock Saga, and you can learn more about it simply by viewing websites about it. You can look it up, BOCK Saga, and you'll find, I think, 3 or 4 good sites that actually deal with it. And you can also look up the videos, and the channel is on my recommended pages list here on YouTube. It's basically the tale of the origins of the human race, ironically taking into consideration evolution and genetics, as well as human cultures, religious traditions, etc. And if indeed the saga is real, and I personally believe that at least for the most part it is, then there is a significant conspiracy going on with the Christian church for one thing, because it claims that an actual agreement took place between the Roman Catholic Church and the family of which this saga pertains to quite some time ago, that the family wouldn't be destroyed if they would just stay out of politics and keep quiet about it. And the basic claim is that, and you can take this with a grain of salt or however you want, that life originated, at least modern human culture originated in Scandinavia. Now, a lot of times archaeologists say, it originated in the Mesopotamian region with agriculture in the Middle East, etc., and in Southern Europe. The problem in my mind is that science is continually trying to reestablish truth. Science's job is not to take something, say, we've got evidence that this is true, it will be true for the rest of time, no ifs, ands, or buts. Science's job, and the study of human cultures, the profession itself, the job is to find the truth. That means that right now, for our beliefs, we believe that the cradle of civilization lies in the Middle East. But if there is any reason to believe that it could have been elsewhere, we should investigate that. And the people involved with the saga claim that the governments of Scandinavia are repressing the information. Now, there is indeed a Lemminkainen temple up there, and apparently at least it's claimed that they've done soundings and found hollow chambers behind what they call the Gumbostrand, which I guess is some sort of rock wall that looks deliberately put there, and they're still trying to excavate it to this day. Whether or not that's true, I can't tell, but the linguistic tradition, at least as it's been laid down, does make sense. The linguistics of different major names throughout history, even people like Krishna or Jesus, is explained through the saga, which is a characteristic setting of sounds and symbolic systems which give meanings to different linguistic terms, different sounds, as part of the Aesir alphabet, and as part of the what they call the root language. Now, I don't know whether it's true or not. It could be that this is just a hoax, but there's no reason in my mind to believe that Eor Bock would do this, who's the man who is the last member of his family and who has revealed the tradition. And it's so extensive, why would anybody go through I don't know why anybody would go through the trouble of establishing such an elaborate hoax. They would simply put a couple rocks out there for people to find and say, oh, look, there was a culture here. But indeed, there is archaeological evidence of a very old Copper Age culture originating in that area that, by all archaeological estimates, shouldn't technically be there. Now, there's also a claim that this culture, after what they consider the Great Flood, came down from Scandinavia to repopulate the earth and give out, seeds and to give rise to the cultures. That part I wouldn't personally agree with because I don't believe in a Great Flood, because I've studied geology too and understand that there's no evidence that that happened. But taken as a religious systematic belief or philosophy, you can take the parts that make sense and put together a human historical pattern without taking it all for, given. For instance, in biblical terms, there are parts of the Bible that make sense in historical terms. There are others that make no sense. For instance, the notion, as revealed by the names of the rivers, that Mesopotamia should technically be where the first humans were, when we know that proto-humans at least existed in Africa a million years before that. Or, again, the Great Flood. So I would advise everybody to look this up, because imagine the consternation of the religious Christian church if it could be shown that this culture did indeed exist, that the heathen people indeed had an advanced culture and were oppressed by the Christian church through the Romans and through later the Holy Roman Empire outside of Rome, ironically. Imagine their consternation being faced with the possibility that there are in fact locations in Finland where archaeological excavations could take place and there would be significant finds. One is their temple. Also, on one of the sites it said that there were two other spots, one east and one west of Helsinki, that also held potentially good archaeological sites, where they claim there are statuettes, crystal balls, which they claim have telepathic powers. I would ignore that part and simply say that that was the ramblings of an ancient culture. And also the regalia donning the last king of these people. And in fact, the Finnish government claims that these people never existed, when in fact there's evidence that they did. I find it fascinating just because I'm interested in human culture. I would love to support their movement. The problem is I'm a starving college student with no money. But indeed, if I had money, I would definitely donate to their organization. They have a place called the Positive Foundation. I'm not sure whether or not that's still actually running, though, because they ran out of money. And people stopped donating because apparently some of the people there were smoking marijuana, the problem of which is, who cares if they're smoking marijuana, and who's going to assume that it came from the money they were getting from donations, when I'm sure they have full-time jobs. But Bock is just an incredible dude anyway, just because of the way he speaks, his understanding of at least linguistic systems in general. So I would advise you to check it out. I'm going to put several links in the description, along with the channel. And hopefully you'll subscribe to that and look at that stuff, because imagine if the temple were opened, and it's a highly sexualized mythos as well, by the way. If the temple were opened and there was a huge archaeological site in there with all sorts of weird artifacts and stuff, what would the church say? It would destroy the Christian religion, because the basic claim behind it, and if it could be verified by the existence of a culture in archaeological remains, would be that the Christian church basically wiped these people out to hide the fact that the Christian church was following a dude that actually was Scandinavian in origin. Now, again, you can argue one way or the other, but indeed there is the possibility that that's true. I suppose that it's worth a shot. So, investigate it. I'll throw my support behind it anytime. Peace out. Have a good one.